What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk to you guys about serving in the church, specifically serving in a church ministry where you are on fire for God, you know that you want to serve, you may or may not be sure of what you want to do, but there's one thing that I wish somebody had told me about that I'm going to talk to you guys about, and that's going to be the biggest obstacle that you're going to face in attempting to serve in a church ministry right after the intro. Now, as a Christian, I know that this response is probably going to surprise a lot of people. Reason being, because we live in a world where people have this assumption that Christians feel or try to portray themselves as being perfect. Believe me when I tell you that we are absolutely not. The only difference between people who have an extremely genuine relationship with Christ and everyone else is that we understand that we're sinners and that we need the grace of God to get into the gates of heaven. Now, having said that, other people are going to get in your way, sometimes inadvertently, sometimes on purpose. And there can be a number of reasons for that. And one of the most common reasons that people will step on your toes when you're attempting to serve in a church ministry, regardless of what you're doing, you may run into a person who's going out of their way to trip you up or to try to tell you how to do your ministry, even though they have nothing to do with it. Jealousy will be the biggest reason why. If you are one of these people who is doing this, I want you guys to go over this with me because there's something that we need to talk about. It's called scripture. Two scriptures I want to share with you specifically. My favorite ones when it comes to jealousy are from the book of Proverbs, chapter 14, verse 30. A heart at peace gives life to the body, but envy rots the bones. Basically saying there is no point in being envious because it's not going to get you anything, and all it's going to do is make you bitter and make you rotten on the inside. The second verse that I love when it comes to envy is Job chapter 5 verse 2. Surely resentment destroys the fool, and jealousy kills the simple, insinuating that people who are easily jealous are simple-minded. You may even come across people in your congregation who will try to outright sabotage you, or at the very least go out of their way not to help you, knowing full well that they can. Now, when I do talk about that, there are a couple of verses that come to my mind. The first being from the book of Ephesians. Ephesians chapter 4 verse 31. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and slander be put away from you, along with malice. The second verse that I want to go over is Mark chapter 11 verse 25. And whenever you stand praying, forgive if you have anything against anyone, so that your Father also who is in heaven may forgive your trespasses. So this actually can go to the person who's serving, who may start building up resentment for people who are trying to get in their way, get in their ministry's way. Do not build up resentment for anyone. Always remember that the Father will not forgive you if you are holding contempt. If you have not forgiven others for their trespasses, the Father will not forgive you for yours. Now, having said that, guys, those are just a couple of reasons and a couple of ways to address things that may come into play between you and other people in the church. I'm not saying it's for all congregations. I'm just saying that through my experiences, there are people who may try to get in your way, and a lot of times they may have good intentions. A lot of times they may not. There's no way to know. That's between them and God. The only thing I can tell you is to continue to do your ministry the best you can, with or without help, and do whatever you can, because at the end of the day, God knows what's in your heart. He knows the effort that you're making, and if other people are getting in your way, do not build up any resentment over it. Do not build up any wrath. Do not build up any malice. Pray for them, go to your scripture, and keep on trucking, man, because at the end of the day, your ministry is for God and no one else. Now, the second biggest thing that may cause you to stumble in your ministry is laziness, and God detests laziness, guys. So, talking about laziness, in the book of Proverbs, chapter 10, verse 4 says, lazy hands make for poverty, but diligent hands bring wealth, which means not physically always are busy hands going to make you rich. That's not what it's saying. They're talking about wealth of the spirit. And I like to say that because I know there's a lot of naysayers who like to look at the scripture and say, oh, look, I've been working my whole life and I'm not rich. That's not what it's saying. They're talking about spiritual wealthiness. The book of Proverbs, the very next verse, chapter 10, verse 5, he who gathers crops in the summer is a prudent son, but he who sleeps during a harvest is a disgraceful son. Now, I know that a lot of people out there may be saying, well, I don't care as long as I get into heaven, and if that works for you, that's fine. But understand that those who choose to serve are serving out of gratitude and nothing else. Now, I did type a short monologue that I want to read to you guys because I took my time to make sure that I said this the right way, because I don't want anyone to be discouraged from trying to serve in a ministry just because of the result of watching this video. There will undoubtedly be other contributing factors in your more than likely inevitable troubles in serving God in a church ministry. In my experience, however, most of the causal issues stem from the two reasons that I stated before. Remember that being members of a Christian church does not preclude people from becoming entangled in altercations. The same as we bicker with our siblings as children, so too will we bicker with our church siblings as children of God. The question then becomes, are you willing to use the scripture to guide you through such adversity? Or will you allow it to cause you to stray and not use your talents to serve the Almighty? Remember, we are not serving God because we can add to our own salvation. That is impossible. We are serving the living God because we are grateful for the salvation that we could have never attained on our own. As always, guys, I just want to say, again, this is not to try to dissuade anyone from serving in a church. What it is a warning for any of you who may, and for those of you who will inevitably run across people who will try to sabotage you for jealousy or whatever the reasons are. Remember, you got to keep your eyes on God and remember why you're serving, and it's not for people, it is for God. As always, guys, be safe, be good, be blessed. I'll see you when I see you. Jesus is King. Tomorrow is not promised to anyone. Take care of yourselves, guys.